Snow was falling softly on the busy city streets. It was Christmas Eve, and lights decorated almost every building. Cars moved slowly through the icy roads, and people rushed with bags of gifts in their hands. Joy and laughter filled the air, but not everyone shared that joy. In a tall glass building at the center of the city, lived a man named Adam. He was a young CEO who worked harder than most people. He had earned everything through long nights and endless effort. But Adam's life was not as perfect as it seemed from the outside. He was a single father, raising his little son Daniel alone. His wife had passed away 3 years ago, and since then, Adam had balanced his busy business life with being a parent. On that evening, Adam left his office early. Daniel had been waiting for him at home with a small Christmas tree they had decorated together. Adam wanted to surprise him with a special gift before midnight. As he drove through the cold streets, he thought about the warm smile of his boy. Traffic slowed near an alley, and Adam's car came to a stop. He looked outside, and something unusual caught his attention. Under the dim streetlight, beside a pile of trash bags, lay a small figure. Adam frowned and leaned closer. It was a little girl, curled up on the cold ground, her thin arms wrapped around herself. Her clothes were torn, and she had no coat to protect her from the freezing night. Adam's heart skipped a beat. He stepped out of his car and walked toward her. The sound of the city faded as he came closer. The girl looked no older than 7 or 8. Her face was pale, and her lips trembled from the cold. She was fast asleep, as if her body had grown too tired to fight the winter air. "Hey, little one," Adam said softly, kneeling beside her. He did not want to scare her. He reached out carefully and touched her shoulder. "You can't sleep here. It's too cold." The girl stirred and slowly opened her eyes. They were wide, dark, and filled with fear. She sat up quickly, as if ready to run. "I'm not going to hurt you," Adam assured her in a calm voice. "It's Christmas Eve. You should be somewhere warm." The girl shook her head. "I have nowhere to go," she whispered, her voice faint like the wind. Those words struck Adam deeply. He looked around the alley, hoping to see someone who might be responsible for her, but there was no one. Just the sound of cars and the falling snow. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The girl hesitated, then said, "Lena." Adam gave a small smile. "Lena. That's a pretty name. How long have you been here?" She looked down at her hands, which were red from the cold. "A long time. I was looking for food, but then I got tired." Adam's chest tightened. He could not imagine his son in this condition. Daniel was safe at home with a warm blanket and hot chocolate, but this girl had nothing. "You can't stay out here," Adam said firmly. "It's dangerous. Come with me." Lena pulled back a little, her eyes wary. "Why should I trust you?" Adam paused. It was a fair question. He took off his coat and gently placed it around her small shoulders. "Because no child should be alone on Christmas Eve," he replied softly. For a moment, Lena just stared at him, as if searching his face for any sign of harm. Finally, she nodded. Her body shivered inside the large coat, but her eyes softened a little. Adam stood and offered his hand. Lena hesitated again, then slowly placed her tiny hand in his. He led her to his car and opened the door for her. She climbed inside carefully, still cautious but too cold to resist the warmth. As Adam sat behind the wheel, he glanced at her again. She was hugging the coat tightly and looking out the window at the glowing city lights. "Where are your parents, Lena?" he asked gently while starting the car. Her small voice answered after a pause. "I don't know. They left, and never came back." Adam felt a heavy weight settle in his heart. The truth of her words cut through the festive night. He did not know what had happened, but one thing was certain: this little girl had no one. As he drove toward home, Adam realized his Christmas night had changed forever. What began as a simple evening with his son had turned into something unexpected. A lost child had entered his world, and he did not know why fate had brought her to him. But deep inside, he felt that this meeting was not by chance. The drive home felt longer than usual. Adam's thoughts raced while he kept glancing at Lena through the mirror. She sat silently, holding his coat close, her small body sinking into the seat. Her eyes stayed fixed on the passing streets, filled with lights and decorations, but there was no joy in them. She looked tired, almost broken. When they reached Adam's home, the warmth of the house welcomed them. The small Christmas tree stood in the corner of the living room, decorated with colorful lights and shiny ornaments. The smell of fresh cookies filled the air. Daniel had been waiting for his father, but when he saw a little girl stepping inside with him, his eyes grew wide with surprise. "Dad, who is she?" Daniel asked curiously. Adam placed his hand gently on Lena's shoulder. "This is Lena. I found her outside in the cold. She had no place to stay tonight, so she will be with us for now." Daniel's eyes softened. He was only 9 years old but kind at heart. He looked at Lena with a warm smile. "Hi, I'm Daniel. Do you want some cookies?" Lena hesitated, her small hands clutching the coat. She looked from Daniel to Adam, unsure if she should accept. Adam nodded encouragingly. Slowly, she followed Daniel to the table, where a plate of cookies and a glass of milk were waiting. Lena picked one cookie carefully and took a small bite. Her eyes lit up for the first time. The sweetness seemed to awaken something inside her, and she quickly finished the cookie before sipping the milk. Daniel giggled. "You were really hungry." Lena's cheeks turned red, and she looked down shyly. "I haven't eaten since yesterday," she admitted quietly. Adam's heart tightened. He sat beside her and spoke softly. "From now on, you don't have to worry about food, at least not tonight." For a moment, the living room was filled with a strange mix of warmth and sadness. The Christmas lights twinkled, and the children's laughter slowly grew as Daniel began showing Lena his toys. Though cautious, Lena began to respond, her smile appearing little by little. Later, when it was time for bed, Adam faced a new problem. He had not planned to bring home a child, and there was no extra bed prepared. He decided to let Lena sleep in the guest room. He placed fresh blankets on the bed and made sure the heater was on. "Here you go, Lena," Adam said kindly. "This room will be yours tonight. You'll be safe and warm." Lena stood by the doorway, unsure. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. Adam paused. The question was simple but heavy. He looked into her innocent eyes and replied, "Because no child should be alone on Christmas. And because I would hope someone would help my son if he were ever in your place." Lena's lips parted as if she wanted to say something, but she remained quiet. She walked into the room and touched the soft blanket with her small hand. It was clear she had not felt comfort like this in a long time. Adam wished her good night and left the door slightly open, so she would not feel trapped. When he returned to his room, he found Daniel waiting with questions. "Dad," Daniel whispered, "will Lena stay with us forever?" Adam sighed and sat beside him. "I don't know, son. We don't know her story yet. But for now, we'll make sure she is safe." Daniel nodded slowly. "She looked really sad." "I want her to be happy." Adam smiled and kissed his son's forehead. "You have a kind heart. We'll do our best for her." As the night grew deeper, Adam lay in bed, but sleep did not come easily. He kept thinking about Lena, about her thin arms, her frightened eyes, and her words about being left alone. Something about her felt unusual, as if there was more to her story than what she had said. Meanwhile, in the guest room, Lena sat awake under the blanket. The warmth comforted her, but her heart carried a heavy weight. She remembered the streets, the hunger, and the long nights of fear. She also remembered something else, something she had not told Adam yet. Tears filled her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. She looked at the glowing lights of the Christmas tree shining faintly through the open door. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe. Still, she wondered if safety could last, or if it would be taken from her again. Downstairs, the Christmas clock struck midnight. It was now Christmas Day, a day of hope and new beginnings. Yet for Adam, Daniel, and Lena, it was the start of a journey none of them had expected. A journey filled with secrets, questions, and truths waiting to be revealed. And Adam could not shake the feeling that this little girl had entered his life for a reason he was yet to understand. Morning sunlight poured through the windows, painting the living room with a soft glow. The smell of pancakes and hot cocoa filled the air. Adam stood in the kitchen, flipping pancakes on the pan, while Daniel set the table with excitement. Christmas morning had always been special for them, but this time it felt different. There was another presence in the house, and both father and son knew the day would not be ordinary. Lena stepped out of the guest room slowly. She wore one of Daniel's extra sweaters that Adam had given her. It was a little loose, but it kept her warm. Her hair was messy, and her eyes carried traces of sleeplessness, but she looked brighter than she had the night before. "Good morning, Lena," Daniel greeted cheerfully. "We made pancakes. You'll love them." Lena gave a small smile, still shy. "Good morning." Adam placed the last pancake on the plate and invited her to sit. "Eat as much as you want," he said kindly. "There's no shortage here." For the first time, Lena allowed herself to relax. She took a bite, and the taste of warm food made her eyes sparkle. She ate slowly, as though afraid the food might disappear if she hurried. Daniel chattered about Christmas gifts and the snow outside. He wanted to take Lena out to build a snowman later. Lena listened quietly, answering with short words, but little by little, her shoulders loosened. After breakfast, the three of them gathered near the Christmas tree. Daniel tore open his gifts with joy while Lena sat beside him, watching carefully. Adam noticed her expression. She looked happy for Daniel, but at the same time, her eyes carried a longing, a silent wish that she, too, could have something to open. Adam cleared his throat and reached under the tree. He had not planned this, but he found a small box of chocolates wrapped in golden paper. He handed it to Lena. "This one is for you." Her eyes widened in surprise. "For me?" "Yes," Adam said with a gentle smile. "Everyone deserves a gift on Christmas." Lena hesitated before unwrapping the paper. When she saw the chocolates inside, her face lit up with pure joy. "Thank you," she whispered, hugging the box close as if it were a treasure. Watching her reaction, Adam felt something stir inside him. He had given countless expensive gifts in his life, but none had brought such genuine happiness as this small box had brought to Lena. Later in the day, Daniel dragged Lena outside to play in the snow. They built a snowman together, their laughter echoing in the yard. Adam watched from the window, his heart heavy yet warm. He was glad Lena was smiling, but deep inside, he knew smiles often hid pain. When the children returned, red-cheeked and giggling, Adam decided it was time to learn more. He waited until Daniel was busy with his toys, then sat beside Lena by the fireplace. "Lena," he began gently, "I know you don't want to talk about it, but I need to ask. Do you remember where your parents are?" Lena's smile faded. She looked at the fire, her small hands tightening around the chocolate box. Silence filled the room for a long moment before she finally spoke. "My parents left me," she said softly. "They told me to wait at the corner of a street. I waited all night, but they never came back." Adam felt his chest tighten. The thought of anyone abandoning a child like this was unbearable. "Do you know why?" he asked carefully. Lena shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe they didn't want me anymore." Her words were simple, but the weight behind them was heavy. Adam could see the pain in her eyes, the way she carried it like a shadow. "You're not unwanted," Adam said firmly. "Don't ever believe that." Lena looked up at him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "But why would they leave me if they cared?" Adam had no answer. He reached out and gently took her hand. "Sometimes adults make choices that children can't understand. But that doesn't mean you are less important. You are special, Lena." For the first time, tears rolled down her cheeks. She quickly wiped them away, embarrassed. But Adam did not pull back. Instead, he placed his arm gently around her shoulders, giving her the comfort she had long been missing. Daniel noticed and came over, sitting on Lena's other side. "You can be part of our family," he said brightly. "Then you won't be alone anymore." Lena gave a small laugh through her tears. "Family." "Yes," Daniel said proudly. "Dad is the best dad, and I'm the best brother. You'll like it here." Adam smiled, though inside he knew it was not that simple. But seeing Daniel's innocence and Lena's small smile, he could not deny the warmth that spread in his heart. That night, when the children went to bed, Adam sat alone by the window. Snow continued to fall, and the world outside was silent. He thought about Lena's words, about the mystery of why her parents had left her. Something felt unfinished, as if there was more to the story. He decided that after Christmas, he would begin searching. He owed it to Lena to uncover the truth. Because deep down, Adam felt that this little girl had entered his life for a reason greater than chance. And whatever that reason was, he was determined to find it. The days after Christmas passed slowly, but for Adam, they were filled with restless thoughts. He could not forget Lena's words about being left behind. Every time he saw her smiling with Daniel, playing or reading books, he wondered how anyone could walk away from such a child. Lena had grown more comfortable in the house. She laughed more often and even helped Daniel build a puzzle by the fireplace. Yet, there were moments when she sat quietly, her eyes distant, as if her mind drifted back to the streets. Adam noticed these silences and understood that behind her smiles, pain still lingered. One evening, after putting Daniel to bed, Adam sat at his desk. He opened his laptop and began searching through missing children records. He typed Lena into the database, hoping for a clue. Dozens of results appeared, but none matched the little girl who now slept peacefully in his guest room. Adam leaned back in his chair, frustrated. He was a CEO, used to solving business problems with precision, but this was different. This was about a child's life, and the answers seemed hidden in shadows. The next morning, he decided to speak with Lena again. As they sat at the breakfast table, Adam asked gently, "Lena, do you remember anything else about your parents? Maybe where you lived before?" Lena looked down at her plate. "I remember a small house," she said softly. "There was a garden with yellow flowers. And my mother used to sing to me at night." Adam leaned closer. "Do you remember the street name? Or maybe a neighbor's face?" She shook her head sadly. "No. Everything feels blurry." Adam did not press her further. He knew memories could be painful, and forcing her would only hurt. But he made a quiet promise to himself he would not stop searching. Later that week, Adam visited the local police station. He spoke with an officer and explained the situation. The officer listened carefully, then asked if Lena had any identification, any documents, or even belongings that might help. Adam shook his head. "Nothing. When I found her, she had only the clothes she wore." The officer nodded. "We'll check our records. Sometimes children are reported missing under different names. If her parents abandoned her, there might not be a report at all. But we'll try." As Adam left the station, his mind was heavy. He could not understand how parents could leave their child without even reporting her missing. Something felt strange, as though there was more to the story than simple neglect. Back at home, Daniel and Lena greeted him at the door. Daniel showed him a drawing they had made together. It was of a house with 3 stick figures: Daniel, Adam, and Lena. Above the house was a bright sun, and below it was the word family. Adam's heart softened. He looked at Lena, who stood shyly by Daniel's side. Her eyes held hope, but also fear, as if she worried the happiness might disappear. Adam bent down and smiled at her. "That's a beautiful drawing." "Thank you, Lena." That night, as he tucked Daniel into bed, Daniel whispered, "Dad, can Lena stay with us forever?" Adam hesitated. "I don't know, son. We have to find out more about her family first." Daniel frowned. "But what if her family doesn't want her?" Adam stroked his son's hair. "Then we'll make sure she still has one." Those words settled deep in his heart. He meant them more than he realized. The following day, Adam arranged for a friend named Paul, a lawyer, to come over. Paul specialized in family law and had helped Adam in the past. After listening to the story, Paul gave him advice. "You need to be careful, Adam," Paul said. "If the authorities think you're keeping the child without proper steps, it could cause problems. For now, you should register her as being under your temporary care. That way, you're protected, and so is she." Adam nodded. "And if her parents don't come forward?" Paul looked at him seriously. "Then you might consider adoption. But remember, that process takes time. And before that, we must be certain about her past." Adam agreed, though the thought of adoption planted a seed in his mind. He had not imagined it before, but now he wondered if fate had brought Lena to him for that very reason. Later that evening, when the children were asleep, Adam found himself in the guest room doorway. Lena was curled up under the blanket, hugging the box of chocolates he had given her. She looked peaceful, yet fragile, as if the slightest wind could carry her away. Adam whispered to himself, "I'll find the truth, Lena. I promise." The snow continued to fall outside, silent and endless. The house was warm, but Adam knew the world outside was still cold and unforgiving. Somewhere out there, pieces of Lena's past were waiting to be uncovered. And Adam was ready to search every corner until he found them. The first week of January arrived, and the city was still covered in snow. Life inside Adam's house had begun to feel different. Daniel and Lena grew close, like brother and sister. They played board games, built forts with blankets, and read stories together. Their laughter filled the house in a way that warmed Adam's heart. But behind the smiles, Adam knew a shadow remained. Lena still had no answers about her past, and her future was uncertain. Every night, before bed, Adam searched online databases, made calls, and even contacted a few private investigators he trusted. Days passed with no result, and his frustration grew. One afternoon, Adam received a call from Officer Reed, the same policeman he had spoken to earlier. "Mr. Adam," the officer said, "we might have found something. A missing child report was filed about 6 months ago. The description matches Lena in some ways, but the name listed is different. The report says her name is Alina Grace." Adam's eyes widened. "Alina? That's close to Lena." "Yes," the officer replied. "The family address listed is outside the city, in a small town about 2 hours from here. We're not sure yet if it's the same girl, but it's worth checking." After hanging up, Adam sat in silence. He knew this could be the first real clue. But he also worried. What if Lena's family truly had abandoned her? What if she had been running from something painful? That evening, after dinner, Adam gently brought up the name. "Lena, does the name Alina Grace sound familiar to you?" She froze, her spoon halfway to her mouth. Her eyes grew wide, and her hand began to shake. Slowly, she set the spoon down. That was my full name, she whispered. Adam leaned forward. Do you remember the town you lived in? Her eyes filled with tears. Yes. It was a small place with many trees. My mother always took me to a park near our house. But then, everything changed. Adam's heart ached as he saw her trembling. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. It's all right. You don't have to say more if it hurts. Just know you're safe here. But Lena shook her head. I want to tell you. One night, my parents argued. They were shouting. I hid under the bed. The next morning, they told me we were going on a trip. They drove me to the city, left me on a street corner, and said they would come back. But they never did. Daniel, who had been listening quietly, gasped. That's so mean. Why would they do that? Lena wiped her tears. I don't know. I waited all day and all night, but no one came. After that, I just walked around, trying to find food. Adam's chest tightened with anger and sorrow. No child deserved such pain. Still, he needed to know the truth. Why would parents abandon their child like this? The next morning, Adam called Paul, his lawyer friend, and shared what he had learned. Paul frowned. This is serious, Adam. If her name is on record, then her parents can be contacted. But before anything happens, you should go to that town and see what's really going on. Adam agreed. He decided to visit the town over the weekend. He didn't want to scare Lena, so he explained it gently. I'm going to check something, Lena. You can stay here with Daniel and Mrs. Rose, the neighbor. I'll be back soon. But Lena shook her head firmly. No, I want to come. I need to see it with my own eyes. Adam hesitated, then finally nodded. All right. But you stay close to me the whole time. 2 days later, Adam drove with Lena and Daniel to the small town. The streets were quieter than the city, lined with old houses and tall trees covered in snow. When they reached the address from the report, Adam slowed the car. It was a small, worn-down house with a broken fence. The garden that Lena had once described was there, though the yellow flowers were now dead under the winter frost. Lena pressed her face to the window, her hands trembling. That's it, she whispered. That's my home. Adam parked and stepped out with her. Daniel stayed close, sensing the seriousness of the moment. As they walked toward the house, the front door opened. A woman stepped out. She looked tired, her face pale, her eyes filled with surprise as she spotted Lena. She dropped the basket she was holding, her hands flying to her mouth. Alina, the woman cried, tears instantly streaming down her face. Is it really you? Lena froze, her heart pounding. The woman rushed forward, falling to her knees before her. My baby, I thought I lost you forever. Adam's eyes narrowed in confusion. This was not what he had expected. Lena had told him her parents abandoned her, but here was a woman crying with relief, as if she had been searching all along. Lena stepped back, unsure. Her memories clashed with the scene before her. She whispered, "Why did you leave me?" The woman's eyes filled with pain. "No, I never left you. You were taken from us. We searched everywhere. Please, believe me." Adam stood still, shocked. The truth was more complicated than he had thought. And as he looked at the woman's desperate face, he realized Lena's story was only just beginning to unfold. The cold air surrounded them as Lena stood frozen in front of the woman who had rushed out of the small house. The woman's tears fell freely, and her hands trembled as she tried to reach for Lena. Adam placed a protective hand on Lena's shoulder. He could see the fear and confusion in her eyes. "Do you know this woman, Lena?" he asked softly. Lena stared at the woman for a long moment. Memories flickered in her mind, the sound of a lullaby, the smell of flowers from the garden, and a warm embrace. Slowly, she whispered, "Mama." The woman sobbed harder. "Yes, Alina, it's me. I'm your mother. I never stopped looking for you." Adam felt the ground shift beneath him. This was not the story Lena had told. She had believed she was abandoned, yet here was her mother claiming the opposite. He stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. "If you're her mother, then explain. Lena told me she was left alone in the city. She believes her parents abandoned her." The woman shook her head violently. "No, that's not true. We were victims of something terrible. One night, men came to our house. They forced their way inside. They wanted money, but when we had none, they took Alina. We went to the police, we searched everywhere, but they said there were no leads. We thought she was gone forever." Lena's small hands gripped Adam's coat tightly. "But I remember you leaving me. I remember standing on the street alone." Her mother's face crumpled with pain. "They must have left you there after taking you. My sweet girl, I would never leave you by choice. I loved you too much." Tears rolled down Lena's cheeks as she tried to piece together her memories. Fear and loneliness had clouded her thoughts for so long that she had begun to believe she was unwanted. Now, faced with her mother's words, doubt filled her heart. Adam studied the woman's face. The raw emotion seemed real, but he knew children's safety depended on truth, not emotion. "Where is her father?" Adam asked. The woman looked down, her shoulders shaking. "He passed away a few months after Alina was taken. His heart could not bear the pain." Lena gasped softly. She had been too young to understand everything, but the news struck her like a stone. Her father was gone, and she had not even known. Adam kept his hand on Lena's shoulder. He looked into her eyes. "Do you want to go inside, Lena? You don't have to decide now. Whatever happens, I'll be here." Lena hesitated, then nodded slowly. Together, they stepped into the small house. The inside was modest but warm. Photographs hung on the walls, and in many of them, Lena's younger face smiled back. She saw herself in dresses, holding toys, sitting on her father's lap. Her eyes filled again with tears. Her mother pointed to one picture. "That was your favorite toy. You carried it everywhere." Lena reached out and touched the frame. The memories grew clearer. She remembered the toy, the songs, the garden. The picture of abandonment in her mind began to break apart. Adam watched carefully. He could see the bond between mother and daughter, but he also saw Lena's hesitation. Trust, once broken, was not easy to rebuild. After some time, Adam and Lena returned to the car with Daniel. The woman begged them to stay longer, but Adam knew they needed space to think. On the way back, silence filled the car. Daniel finally asked, "So, is Lena going to stay with her mom now?" Lena hugged the chocolate box on her lap. Her voice was soft. "I don't know." That night, Adam sat with her in the guest room. "How do you feel, Lena?" he asked gently. She looked down. "I don't know what's true anymore. I was so sure they left me. But then I saw her face, and I remembered things I forgot. She looked so sad, like she missed me all the time." Adam nodded. Sometimes our minds protect us from pain by changing memories. What matters now is what you want. Do you want to know her better? Lena's eyes filled with uncertainty. "Yes, but I'm scared. What if she leaves me again?" Adam reached out and held her hand. "You're not alone anymore. No matter what happens, Daniel and I are here. You will always have a family with us." Those words brought a small comfort to her heart. She leaned against him, whispering, "Thank you." Later that night, when the children were asleep, Adam sat by the window, thinking. He knew the story was not finished. If Lena had truly been taken, then someone was responsible. He also knew her future would be filled with choices whether to live with her mother, stay with him, or perhaps find a way to keep both. But one thing was certain. Adam had grown attached to her. She was no longer just a stranger he had found on Christmas Eve. She had become a part of his life, a part of Daniel's life, and he could not imagine letting her go easily. Snow fell quietly outside, just as it had on the night they first met. And as Adam watched it cover the streets, he realized the greatest challenge was still ahead, helping Lena find peace between her past and her future. The sun rose gently over the city, painting the streets with gold and white snow. Adam sat at the breakfast table, sipping his coffee, while Daniel finished arranging pancakes on their plates. Lena walked slowly into the kitchen, her eyes thoughtful. Adam noticed her quiet mood. "Good morning, Lena," he said softly. "Did you sleep well?" She nodded, but her mind seemed elsewhere. "I was thinking about my mom," she admitted. Adam gestured for her to sit. "It's okay to think about her. You have to decide what you want, but don't rush. Take your time." Lena looked at him, her small hands folded on the table. "I don't know what to do. I want to be with her, but I also love being here with you and Daniel. I feel safe. I feel happy." Adam smiled gently. "That's your choice, Lena. No one can make it for you. The important thing is that you know you are loved." Daniel bounced in his seat. "You can't leave, Lena. I don't want you to go." Lena giggled softly, her eyes sparkling. "I like you too, Daniel. You're a good brother." After breakfast, Adam called Lena's mother. "We need to talk," he said firmly, though kindly. "Lena has a choice to make, and we should respect it." The woman agreed, and they arranged a meeting at Adam's house. When she arrived, she held a small bouquet of yellow flowers, the same flowers Lena had described from her old garden. "Alina," she said gently, kneeling to Lena's level. "I just want you to be happy. I never wanted you to feel abandoned. I was looking for you every day. You are my heart." Lena looked at her, then glanced at Adam and Daniel. Her mind raced, but she could feel the love in both directions. The warmth of Adam's home, Daniel's kindness, and her mother's sorrowful eyes all came together in a confusing yet comforting mix. Adam knelt beside her. "Lena, whatever you decide, I promise you will have a family. You are not alone anymore." Lena closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the nights on the street, the cold that had wrapped around her body, and the fear she had carried. But she also remembered the laughter in this house, the taste of warm pancakes, the feeling of safety, and the small hand that had always been there to hold hers. Finally, she opened her eyes. I want to live with both of you," she said softly. "I want to see my mom and also stay here with you and Daniel. Can we be together?" Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, my baby. We will find a way. I want to be with you always." Adam's heart lifted. He looked at Daniel, who clapped his hands joyfully. "Yes. Lena can stay." Adam took a deep breath. He had expected this day to be complicated, but somehow it had become simple. Love and care were stronger than any fear or confusion. He smiled at Lena. "Then we will make it work. We'll be your family, all of us together." The following weeks were filled with adjustments and laughter. Lena visited her old home with her mother, discovering traces of her past and reconnecting with memories she had thought were lost. She also spent her days with Adam and Daniel, enjoying snowball fights, reading stories, and baking cookies. Gradually, the fear that had once shadowed her heart disappeared. She learned that family was not just about who gave birth to you or who raised you, it was about love, protection, and trust. Adam, who had been lonely after losing his wife, found a new warmth in his home. Daniel, who had wished for a sister, finally had one who chose to stay. One evening, as the sun set behind the snow-covered city, the family sat together by the fireplace. Lena held Daniel's hand, and Adam rested his arm around her shoulders. Her mother sat nearby, smiling, knowing her daughter was safe and loved. Lena looked up at Adam. "Thank you," she whispered. Adam smiled softly. "No, Lena. Thank you for letting me be part of your life. You've made us all happier." The fire crackled, and the world outside seemed quiet and peaceful. Lena realized that the past could not hurt her anymore, because she had found a home filled with love. She had a mother, a father figure in Adam, and a brother in Daniel. For the first time in her life, she felt complete. And as snowflakes continued to fall outside, covering the city in white, Adam understood the true meaning of family. It was not just about blood or names. It was about hearts connected, promises kept, and love shared. That Christmas, which had begun with loneliness and fear, ended with warmth, laughter, and hope. Lena, Adam, and Daniel had all discovered something priceless: the courage to trust, the joy of togetherness, and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. And in that quiet moment, surrounded by the glow of the fireplace and the soft snow outside, they all knew that life, no matter how uncertain, could always bring new beginnings.